I'm Pablo Flores Martinez. I'm a machine operator at Adhesive Applications, and I've been here for 3 years this September. So I grew up in Springfield, Mass. I was born and raised there. I grew up with my mother, my sister, and my grandmother. My father wasn't around. He was in and out of prison pretty much my entire life. I grew up playing sports. I played football for 3 years. I played baseball for 7. Played basketball for 1 year. I wrestled for 1 year. I was pretty much into sports until I reached, I want to say, high school. My mother worked a lot, to provide for my sister and I was really in the care of my grandmother. Not having a father gave me ample time to pretty much get caught up in the wrong things. I actually dropped out of high school in the 9th grade. I wasn't really hanging with the right crowd. I did a robbery for a friend who was homeless at the time, sleeping in a stolen car. We all ended up getting caught. Out of the 3 of us that got caught, I was the only one to do time. I was released at the age of 18. I was committed to the Department of Youth Services to the age of 21. I kind of pretty much went back to doing the same things. I had odd jobs here and there, but I was still involved in the same activities. And at the age of 21, I caught another case. I was sentenced at the age of 22 to 3 to 5 years in state prison, and I went to do my time. When I went to prison, I missed the birth of my daughter. While I was in prison, I got to see my daughter once a month if I was lucky. I did a year in state prison, it's Shirley Medium, and in that year I rode to Northampton to participate in their drunk program, and they accepted me. Then I got to see my daughter 2 times a week. It was just a better environment to be able to see her in as well. Made my way to the minimum. That's when they begin to give people jobs, and I was one of the few that got a job here at Adhesive Applications. It was a great fit. I worked well with everybody, made some good friends there. I was working 5:30 in the evening to 5:30 in the morning, so it kept me busy. It kept me doing something while I was in there. So when I was released in September, they actually allowed me to keep the job because I was such a good fit there. I ended up tearing my ACL. I had to get surgery on my ACL for the second time because I tore it back in '09. I was out for a couple months, and at that time I was working on a coder, which is run by 4 people. They were running it with 3 guys. Adhesive ended up telling me that they couldn't hold my job no longer. They had to fill it. And they told me if I decided to come back, after I was healed, that they would, find a spot for me, even if it wasn't in coding, they would put me somewhere else. After I healed up, I actually chose to go do commercial solar. I did that for a year, and then I ended up applying to a residential solar company. Then I did that for about 4 years. I was actually installing the panels on the roof of houses. During that time, I kind of was getting involved in wrong things again. I actually messed those jobs up, and I was at a point where I really had to get my life together. I had another child in 2017, my second daughter, and I found myself in the same cycle, kind of being my father, absent. I ended up deciding to give Adhesive a call. I left there on good terms, and they had a spot for me. It was actually the same exact spot that I had when I was working there previously in 2015. Went back, and it was like I never left, and I was working with the same exact guys. And I did that for about a year, and the hours were just conflicting, with being a father. It was a lot of time that I wasn't spending with my daughters. So I brought that up to my supervisor, Mike Bailey, at the time. They ended up moving me to converting to first shift, so I would be able to spend more time with my children. The move was perfect. It was exactly what I needed. It allowed me to stay at the company while still being able to be a father and be present for my children, and I've been here ever since. Another thing that Adhesive was crucial in my life, while I was working in a coder when I came back in 2020 during that year, and I found my faith in Jesus Christ at Adhesive. It's hard to explain, like certain people hear it and they don't know how to receive it, and to be honest, I didn't at the time either. In that moment, I felt the presence of God touch me, and I was at work and I was just like crying my eyes out, looking around to see if anybody was looking at me. It was crazy. It shows me that Adhesive was where I needed to be, and it helped me see that the way I was living was wrong. As far as who I am now, I'm an active father, a role model to my children, something I didn't really have growing up. Build at a company where I'm comfortable, a company that appreciates me and values me and isn't shy to let me know that. Yeah, like, to be honest, I'm telling you, like, Adhesive was part of God's plan for me. It is. And that's why I choose to stay, you know what I mean? I choose to stay.